Hello all. So welcome to the first lab of this particular course where here we are trying to explore the closed source models. So in the last video, we already understood what is an open source model, what is a closed source models, right? Closed source LLMs, right? So in this particular video, we'll try to explore few closed source model like OpenAI's SDK, Anthropics, and Gemini is one. Okay. So for doing this particular lab, for working on this particular lab, as I said in the last session, in the last video, yeah, you should have the Python, installed and the setup which we have done in the last video, that is installation of the virtual environment. And also you should have the API keys of the OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google API key. But don't worry, I will show you how to create this these particular API keys, how to generate this API keys and use it in your code. Okay. First step is let's do some setup for this. First, I request you to open the, I have already uploaded this particular lab as part of this video. So you can just download this lab and, open this lab through cursor. So what you can do is you can just, put this particular lab in the respective folder in this particular Gen AI and Agentic AI folder. You can just place your this particular lab, and this lab will be having these files. Okay. In this file, you can see the README file where we have all the instructions on how to work on this lab. Okay. And that is where this particular file is. Okay. So first step is you can actually directly go into the terminal. So in the cursor only you can directly go into the terminal here. So you can just go to these particular three dots, or you might have a terminal option directly, and you can just go to terminal. Okay. So a new terminal will be opened. And yeah, the good thing about cursor is it automatically detects the virtual environment and activates it for you. By any chance, if it is not activating, so you already know the command, right? You should use source. So you also have the command here. You can see these particular command for Windows and Linux. So if by any chance, if it is not activating the virtual environment, if you're not able to see this when you open the cursor, you can just do source so and so command, which I showed here, either source so and so, or you can use this command if you're in Windows to activate the virtual environment, right? So let me do it for you already. However, in my case, it's already activated. So once this is done, once the virtual environment is activated, you can go inside the lab, because right now we are inside the Gen AI Agentic AI folder. So you can just go inside the lab. So I'm just going CD so and so lab to navigate inside the lab. So I'm right now inside the lab folder. Now inside the lab folder, you can find a file called as requirement.txt, where I have included all the libraries which we'll be using in this particular lab. So basically, right now we'll be working with OpenAI's GPT model, Anthropic Claude model, and also Google Gemini model, right? So that is the reason we are installing respective SDKs, that is libraries of this particular providers, LLM providers, like OpenAI library of this particular version, Anthropic version, and Google Gemini. However, at the time you are seeing this video, these versions might be older. If possible, you can actually uh, increase the versions, or you can also maintain the same versions in order to make this code work. Okay. So yeah, however, these are the current, the latest versions at the time recording this video. So yes, so let me install this one, install this. So to install this, again, you can, run this command. So in the lab, once you are in the lab folder, in the terminal, you can just do pip install -r requirement .txt to install the, you know, basically the requirements, all the. So once you're done this, then you need to set up the API keys, right? Because here we are, I told you, right? Here we are working with closed source model. So whenever you're working with closed source model, it means that you actually have to pay them and you have to use the APIs. Basically, it is not direct if you want to use it. So I'll show you how to do it. So basically, I have shared with you. So you'll not have the env file in the folder which I shared. You will not have the env file, so you have to manually create a env file. So you can just use this command to manually create a env file, or you can just click on new file and do .env, because .env will be having my own credentials, so I cannot share that with you. However, you can see .env.example. Okay, in this .env.examples, I shared you a sample like how do you place your keys. Okay, so this is a empty one. Right now, in this right side, you have to, paste your API keys, whatever you will be generating next. Okay. So there is one command I gave you here. You can just use this command, basically, or you can just click on new file and you can just do .env, and it will create a env file for you. And then after doing that, you can just copy these things and paste it there on the .env file. Okay. Then after doing that, once you have this, you should have this in the .env, and here you have to paste your API keys. Okay. So now only if you paste the API keys, you'll be able to work with this code. Okay. So let's start with working with OpenAI first. Okay. So if you want to work with OpenAI, okay, if you want to work with OpenAI, you can just go to this link. I already pasted this link here. So you can just go to this link. So in this link, basically, if you don't have the account of OpenAI, you can just log in. You can create a sign up through your Gmail or somewhere, and you can log into this platform.openai.com. And here, the moment you come to this particular page, platform.openai.com, and once you logged in, you'll be seeing a setting icon here. So you can just go to the setting icon, and here you will find something called as API keys. Okay, in the left navigation, you can find something called as API keys. So here where you can actually create the API key. So what you should do is you should click on create new secret key. Okay, and yeah, here you can just click on new create new secret key, and here you can give a name for your key. Maybe you can call it as Gen AI or something like that. You can just give any random name, and you can just select a project. Right now, you can go with the default project and click on create secret key, and it will basically give you a key. And one important thing is, once you click on create secret key and once you get a key, I request you to immediately copy and paste it in the env file, such that so again, guys, one more important thing is, this is a env example, but see that your file name should be .env compulsory. This is an example shared with you. Your file name should be env, which is where you're actually copying the keys. So immediately copy the key, because once if you close the window, the key will not be visible to you again. So the key will be only visible once. So you immediately copy and paste it there. Okay. Once you're done creating the key, now you can start using. But the problem here is, one important thing is, right now OpenAI doesn't allow to use the free, you don't have any free credits or free version, so you have to add some credits into your OpenAI account in order to use this API. Right now, if you try to use the API also, it says you don't have credits. So if possible, you can actually add around $5 minimum into this particular OpenAI account in order to use and explore the OpenAI. However, if you don't want to use the OpenAI, or if you don't want to add the credits, one option is, Gemini offers you the free usage, so you can use Gemini. But if you want to use OpenAI, you have to add the some approximately $5 or something. So if you want to add your credits into this OpenAI account, here you'll be having the billing option. So if you just go to the billing option, you can just here you'll have this balance. Right now you might have zero if you don't if you have not added yet. So here you can just add your payment method, and you can basically add some credits into your account such that you can use the API, or else you can use a credit card or debit card or whatever card, and you can just add approximately $5 to explore OpenAI. Okay, so it will be for your learning purpose. Now, once you're done adding this, and once you're done creating the API key, now it's time to start using the OpenAI. First, we'll start working with OpenAI. So now in the code, you can see there is one file called as explore OpenAI. So you can just open this file. So let me explain this code. It's a very simple start, like, hello world kind of thing, where you're just starting with simple OpenAI, exploring OpenAI. Once we go deeper, we'll be working with advanced codes and, advanced applications. So here first, what I'm doing here is, already we have installed the OpenAI library, right? So we're importing the OpenAI class from the OpenAI library, and also to load the .env file, that is the .env, like to load the environment, we are also importing the .env from load.env, and we are loading the .env. So it automatically loads from the environment variables from this. Then we are initializing the OpenAI client. We are calling the constructor of OpenAI class, and we're initializing the client. And we are giving a very small prompt like, hi, how are you? Just asking simple LLM. And here we are creating one simple chat create. Okay, so we're just saying client, which is OpenAI client dot chat dot completion dot create. So this is the function, guys, where you can actually, hit the API. So in the backend of this particular function, you'll have the OpenAI API, which will hit the OpenAI servers, and you'll get the response from the model. So here you can just simply say client.chat.completions.create, and in this you can actually give some parameters like first model. Okay, so which model you want to use. So there are multiple OpenAI models available, right? If you just go to the in this OpenAI, if you just go to the docs, right? If you just go to the docs and if you just go to the models, you'll be able to see different models available, right? As of now, GPT 5.1 is the latest model, but there are a lot of old models as well. GPT 4.1, GPT 5, GPT 5 Nano, GPT 5 Mini. So whichever model you want to use actually, so you can just mention the model name here and also the messages. So the OpenAI is expecting the input in this particular format where messages should be in the form of a list, where you should mention the role user. Like you'll also have something called as system and also the AI, but yeah, here the role is user, means the user question, user prompt, and the content, nothing but your prompt. Okay, so role is user and content prompt. So your the OpenAI expects in this particular format where it should be a list of dictionary where role is the user and the content is the prompt. Okay, that is a prompt which I'm giving, and the model name. And once we hit this API with this prompt, how are you? You'll get a response. I'm just printing this response, raw response first, but response will have a lot of details like, how much tokens you have used and everything. But if you want to actually see the proper exact content, so you can just parse the response something like this. It is response.choices of 0 because choices will be in the list dot message dot content. However, I'll just show you once I'll print the response and show you, you'll understand. Then you'll understand why did I wrote this part of code. Okay. So this is a very simple script of how to use the OpenAI API, OpenAI SDK. So let me now run this script once in the terminal. So I'm just dragging this up and opening the terminal. And let me run this explore OpenAI file. So I'll just say Python space explore OpenAI. So if I run this, you can see it will start hitting the OpenAI server, and you'll get the response. Yes, I got the response. You can see this is the parsed response that is with this print, whereas this is the raw response. You can see. So the raw response which is printed here, the raw response is, you can see you're having a lot of details here. You can see chat completion. You're having the ID. You're having the choices which is chosen by the model. And you also have the model name created, the number of tokens you have used, completion tokens, prompt tokens, total tokens, everything, like a lot of details you're having. But if you want to get the exact content, so what you can do is, if you should do response, you have to parse the response basically. So here we're parsing the response. So response dot choices, because inside the choices you have the exact message. So choices is a list. You can see that is the reason we are doing of 0, which is we're going inside one index. Dot message, here it is dot message dot content. Okay, that is where you're having the response from the AI. So you're just saying, hello, I'm an AI, so I don't know, I don't have any feelings, but I'm here to ready to help you, and I'll assist you. So you can see you're able to successfully get a response from this. Now, for example, I want to change the model and try a different model. Maybe let me try GPT 5.1. Okay. So you can just replace your model name and you can just hit again. So maybe you might get now you'll be getting a response from GPT 5.1. Okay. Because we have changed the model here. So it will be from yes. So you can see now you got a response from GPT 5.1. So like this, you can just try different models, and you can also try different prompts. You can just do some, you can just play with this and try different prompts on this. Okay. So this is how you have to work with OpenAI. Just a basic start of how to work with OpenAI. You can just ask whatever you want in a prompt, and you can try different models here. Okay. In a similar way, we have Gemini as well. Okay. Similarly, like how did you created the API key for the, OpenAI? Similarly, we have to create the API key for Gemini. So the good thing here is Gemini offers free usage as of now, at the point I'm recording the video. So currently we have open, you can actually do the free, you can use Gemini for free, up to a limit. There is some limits. So let me show you how can you create a Gemini API key. Again, same thing. There is a link here provided here. You can see Google AI. You have to go to Google AI Studio. So you can just navigate to this link, Google AI Studio. And here you'll have an option to create API key. So here where you'll be having the option to create an API key. So you can click on create API key, give a name to your key as usual. And also here you'll have an option to create a project. So you can just click on create project, give a name to your project. You can just give any name to your project just to start with. Okay. So give a name to your key and give a name to your project, right? And then click on create key. Okay, so once you click on create key, as usual, you'll get a Gemini key. So you have to go back to the env file and place it here. Okay, you have to go to the env file and place your Gemini API key here in the Google API key. Okay, you have to place it here. Okay, once you are able to once you're able to get the API key, now you can also run this code. Okay, so now if you see, OpenAI uses this way of loading, right? In the same way, Gemini uses this way of calling the API. So you have to just import from Google, import GenAI. As usual, we are loading the environment file. Then we are creating the client. Like how did we created a client for OpenAI? Same way here we are creating the client for the Gemini. So here we should simply say GenAI.client, and then we can simply say client.models.generate content. So every LLM provider will be having their own functions, guys, in the SDK. It's not like, okay, all will follow same. However, in the next session, we'll be talking about something like LangChain, which can unify this all. And, instead of maintaining different files, in one single file, we can call multiple, instead of maintaining different functions, you can have in one single function, you can call all the models. Okay, we'll talk about that later. Okay. So client.models or generate content. And here we have to give the model name as usual, like how did we give the OpenAI models, GPT models. Here we can give the Gemini model, and as usual, the prompt which you want to ask for. Same prompt I have asked, like I allow you. And here we are just printing the result, and the result will be directly in the text. If you want, you can also print the raw result, guys. Okay. If you want to check, okay, what is in the raw result, you can print the raw result, and along with that, you can also print the actual response. The actual response will be in the text, result.text. Okay. And here, if you want to change the model, you can also change the model here. But first, let me try with this. So I'll just say Python space explore Gemini. Okay. So if I just simply say Python space explore Gemini, now it is hitting the Gemini model. It is basically right now we are using Gemini 2.0 Flash. So it is hitting the 2.0 Flash, and you can see we got a response. You can see that this is the actual response, final response. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking so and so. As large language model, I don't have an expertise mission. But if you actually see a bit, if I just scroll up a bit, you can see this is the raw response. Okay, this is the non-parsed response, the result, right? This one. Here you can see it's printing in the form of HTTP response. You're having some parts, content, and a lot of other information like the token usage and everything. So every model is giving the token usage, which I'll talk about soon, what is tokens and all those things. But yeah, this is the response from the Gemini model. It is in the result.text. If you see, this is your actual result. And if you see it is in the result.text, so here you're having the text. Let me show you. Yeah, you can see it is the text. So you can just do simply result.text and you'll be able to, get the respective response directly. Okay, so that is what you're able to see here in the result.text. Cool. So this is regarding the Gemini simple usage. And here as well, if you want to change the model, you can change. You can just go back and check what are the models available. If you just go back to the, the documentation, if you see the documentation of the Google AI Studio, you'll be seeing what are the latest models available. For example, they're having, Gemini 2.5 Flash. There is also Gemini 3 Pro available. So if you want to use this model, actually you can directly use this. For example, let me try Gemini 3 Pro preview. Okay, so you can just copy the model code here, whatever model code we are having. I can just copy the model code, come back here, paste it here, the same model code, replacing this, and you can run this. So let's see what it says. So I'll be running same Python explore Gemini.py. So here, but here I'm using Gemini 3 Pro preview, okay, which is the latest model as of now. So let's see what it says. So it is hitting the Gemini API, and basically we are getting some content. Okay. So right now, I guess we are not allowed to that because the resource is exhausted. As I told, it is a limited usage, right? So the resources are exhausted, so we are not able to do that. So it is telling to retry in 51 seconds. So I told you, right? Gemini. Right now, I'm using a free API of Gemini. Okay. So obviously, there is some limit usage, guys. You cannot use it like you cannot use repeatedly. There will be some little limit related to time and everything. So accordingly, you have to use the API. So okay, guys. So let it's still asking me to wait. So let's not worry about this. But however, I hope you understood how do we use this Gemini model, right? Now, similar way, we can also work with Claude models by Anthropic. Okay. So this is the again the console. So like you see, right, every LLM providers are maintaining their own consoles and own API keys. Okay, so you can see the Anthropic console here. So you can just open this Anthropic console, and here again, Anthropic will not provide you the free usage. You have to pay and use it. So basically, you should again add some credits into the Anthropic if you want to use Claude models. So again, if you're interested and if you want to use the Claude models, happily you can add the credits. Or if you, I would recommend either you go with OpenAI or Claude. Don't add credits in both because ultimately, for practice purpose, you can go with any one of the your favorite ones. If you like Claude models more and more, you can just add credits into the Claude models. Or if you want to work with OpenAI models, you can just add credits there. But don't need for practice purpose, we don't need both because we'll be using any of these models. Okay, ultimately. So here you can just click on Get API Key, and again here in the API keys, similar way, you can just click on Create Keys here and give a name, and you can just click on add. So similarly, you'll get an API key, and as usual, you can just come back to the environment file and paste in the Anthropic API key place. Okay, .env, paste in your Anthropic API key place. Okay, so that way you should be able to do that. And again, here if you want to add credits, you can just go to billing, and here you can just add the credits into this particular add credits into this particular usage. So you might have $0, but you should just add $5 or something if you want to use it. Okay. So that way you'll be able to use Anthropic API key also. Now, same way, like how do we have Gemini and OpenAI's SDK? We also have the Anthropic SDK. So this is the code for that, very simple code. So we'll just simply say from Anthropic import Anthropic. Again, we are loading the environment file, creating the client, and we're just saying client.messages.create. And here we are giving the model name. Right now, I'm working with Claude for Sonnet. So the max tokens parameter, guys, basically this is it's actually important parameter in this particular function. It should be there. So we have just have a default value. But I'll talk about this parameter later on in our upcoming sessions. We are having a separate class, separate video for this particular LLM parameters. And similar to OpenAI, here we have to give the role as user and give the prompt as usual. And obviously, you'll get the response in the message. So, like how did we did for OpenAI, here also we'll try to, print the raw response as well as the final response. So the raw response will be in the message, and the text, the actual text will be in the message.content of 0.text. So now let me run this. Okay, let me run Python explore Claude.py, and here you should be able to see the response from the Claude model, Claude Sonnet 4. And here again, as usual, you can change the model name. So this is the model code, guys. You can change the model code. You can just go to the documentation and see the the model code. So you can see this is the raw response as usual. You can see we have a text output, hello, I'm doing well. And here you're having the which model we have used. And again, here also we are having the token usage and everything. And in that, from there, we have just said message dot content of 0 dot text. We have the actual text, and that is what we are printing here. That is the parser response. So this way, we have explored about OpenAI, Gemini, and also the Claude models. However, if you want to change the Claude model here, you can just again go back to the Anthropic, look into the documentation of Anthropic and see which models are available, right? So you can find the documentation here. Yeah. So here you can see there is something like models overview. So if you just go to the models overview, you can see there are a lot of models here. Currently, I'm using this Claude for Sonnet. Let me check. So I'm using Claude Sonnet 4, not 4.5. Basically this one. So you can just change it if you want to use 4.5 or if you want to use IQ or Opus. Opus is very costly, guys, so be careful when you're using this. So yeah, so you can change this models and you can use it. For example, I'll just change it to instead of IQ, Sonnet, I'll be using IQ model, and again I'll be running this. So you can just similar way like how I'm changing the models, you can change the different models, try it out the responses. You can also change the prompts and try the responses and just play this with this around the basically the closed source models. So this how guys we have to work with closed source models. However, you can see a drawback here, right? So when we are working with the different LLM providers, we are basically using different functions. For example, if you're working with OpenAI, we have to import OpenAI and we have to use OpenAI specific function. For example, if you're using Gemini, we have to use Gemini specific function. If you're using Claude, you have to use the Claude specific function. For example, tomorrow if you want to explore Grok or any other thing, then you have to use the Grok specific function. So the problem here is you can see it is not unified. Always you have to change. So that is where the next concept come into the picture. So in the next session we'll be talking about something called as LangChain, which is the famous library for working with LLMs. Okay, then it is like unifying. It's like a library where you can work with LLM and unify LLMs. Okay, so we'll be working with that particular library, and we'll see how to use that particular library for our specific use cases, whatever we are doing right now. Okay, so you can see we got the response from IQ as well. So in this way we have to work. Now I would recommend you to explore Grok. Okay, maybe you can try exploring Grok API and see how to integrate Grok API. So this way, we are done with the first lab, that is uh, working with closed source models with three LLM providers. So in the next upcoming sessions, we'll be using this LLM providers and LangChain, and we'll be doing interesting use cases. Thank you, guys.